In this video, we're going to practice entering values into a present value formula, but the focus is actually on performing the calculations in your calculator. We're going to use a Texas Instruments calculator, a TI-38 Plus, but most Texas Instruments calculators will work similarly. Here I have my formula and my values for each variable, and the first step is going to be to plug in. So P is equal to A over 1 plus R over M to the n. So A is 300,000 here. We're going to have 1 plus, now R is 0.121 because we want the decimal form. In the instructions they tell us to use the decimal form, divided by 2, which is M, and raised to the 60th power. Okay, so when we have an expression like this, we want to plug it into a calculator. We need to have a plan based on how our particular calculator works. Most Texas Instruments calculators allow you to type across, so you can see all the symbols until you hit the enter, and then it does the calculations. So my plan, since the denominator is very complicated and I don't want to put extra parentheses, I'm going to evaluate the denominator, 1 plus 0.121 over 2, raised to the 60th power, and then I'm going to hit enter and get that value. Then I'm going to divide 300,000, the A, by that value, and so that I don't have to retype whatever that value is, I'm going to use the answer function on my calculator. So let's practice doing that. We want to observe that the calculator is going to follow the order of operations. So 1 plus 0.121 divided by 2. All of that's in parentheses. The calculator will know to do the 0.121 divided by 2 first. Then we're going to raise that to the 60th power. Hit enter, and the result comes up 33.93441535. Now I want to divide 300,000 by that value, 300,000 divided by, and instead of retyping that decimal, perhaps making an error, I'm going to hit second and then select the answer function, which is above the negative, and then hit enter. This also prevents us from rounding off too soon. Rounding off to the nearest hundredth, we have 8,840.58. Now I want to point something out here. The denominator could have also been entered with an extra set of parentheses around the 0.121 divided by 2, just to emphasize that the division needs to be performed first. And sometimes I do this just to check to make sure my calculator is following the correct order of operations. Since calculators do vary. One thing you need to be careful though is that if you enter more than one set of parentheses, you must close them each. So for example, if I were to put that extra set of parentheses in but forget the second closed parenthesis and raise it to the 60th power, it's only going to raise the 0.121 over 2 to the 60th power and give us an incorrect solution. So a couple of things to keep in mind. First, to avoid retyping long decimals on intermediate steps, or to avoid rounding off too soon, because you only want to round off at the end, you want to use your ANS or answer function. And to ensure that order of operations is followed correctly, you can always use an extra set of parentheses. Be careful though to make sure to close each set of parentheses to avoid any calculation errors in that regard. And finally, remember that most formulas involving percentages require that you use the decimal form of the percentage. I hope you find this helpful as you plug formulas into your calculator.